Tapping in.
Are we live?
Can we give it up for our producer one time, please?
Yeah, big facts.
Please.
Big
Come on, man. There's a big part of this show behind the scenes that's keeping us on point. That keeps us clean. That keeps us pushing. You're a real one, and we couldn't do this show without you, man.
Can't do this thing. Wouldn't do this thing without you, man. Gotta keep pushing.
All right, then. Miles Xavier, you know what time it is, man. We got a whole show that we give these folks. We got a whole bunch of things that we need to talk about. People, the world is going crazy, and we're tasked to make sense of it.
Yeah, that's our job, man. We're joined again here today by frequent friend, teacher on the show, Elon Musk, man.
Elon Musk did it again. He came out with the big wallet. What we're getting into specifically for this week is we're speaking about Elon Musk obviously buying Twitter last week. On April 25th, Elon Musk officially put in the bid to acquire all of the shares from shareholders in Twitter for $44 billion. This is significantly above the Twitter asking price of $38 billion of their last valuation. It was a lot of corporate games that were involved. It was a lot of corporate espionage that was involved. Drama. It happened all on Twitter. It unfolded on Twitter, ironically. Damn, I'm so hard as hell.
None of those things are a stranger to Twitter, man. Like the drama, and it's been funny because especially Elon Musk has been somebody who's been very vocal on Twitter and even influencing the stock price of some of his companies through tweets, right? So he's been swinging his wallet around the Twitter sphere, and now he done bought the whole thing. He done big walleted these boys out their company. And should one man have all that power?
Well, I'll tell you what, from a corporate takeover perspective, this was a textbook hostile takeover. Starting first by coming in, acquiring a majority of the shares within Twitter. This was a coordinated attack for those that are paying attention to how this actually happened and how it went down. It was a three-step attack plan. First, move in, purchase shares as a common shareholder. After that, double back in, see if you can buy everybody out while you have the majority shareholder advantage. This would allow him then, when the other shareholder said no, he was like, listen, I don't even want to be a part of your board, which is why we saw him reject board status. What that would mean is that he does not have to listen to what it is that they're saying. He does not have to get permission from them to be able to move forward. So once Elon Musk was just like, forget that, I'm about to buy this thing out, that's when we started seeing the formal offer being made. It's important to note, though, that formal offer is just an offer. It has yet to be concrete. So there's still a legal process that has to go by. But that being said, he has come in and said that there's a whole bunch of things that he wants to change about Twitter. I've never used Twitter, Mr. Miles Xavier, but I know you're Twitter famous, recently being canceled for some of your comments. How do you feel about this?
Well, I'm glad Elon's coming back. He's going to bring back the true voices of Twitter. Make sure that all of us have the ability to speak out on everything that bothers us. I'm looking at you, Hot Dog Lunchables. I'm looking at you, Dolly the Sheep. You're going to tell me y'all cloned the sheep in 2007? I've been canceled for my views, and we're glad to be able to bring some of the hard-hitting issues back. But no, to keep it real, when I saw this, I was like, dang, this is crazy. I thought it was just Elon being Elon, going off. Twitter took it very seriously. They hit the poison pill button real quick. They said, all hands on deck. Let's make sure that, and to those out there who don't know what the poison pill is, I didn't really have a full understanding. I knew it was a bad thing, but it's bad in the sense that it's supposed to devalue the price of the stock or allow stockholders to buy it at a discount to dilute the amount that the aggressing party has holding in terms of their stock value. So Twitter hit that button. They called their lawyers. They got Goldman Sachs on the phone. They called JP Morgan. They called the bankers, their lawyers. They called everybody. And still Elon was still able to buy this or put an offer that outweighed their projected stock value. So they really got bullied They really got bullied into this. And I guess the question is, does it matter? Does it matter who runs Twitter?
So the big criticism against Elon Musk, of course, is that people feel there's general disdain against billionaires in general. That is a casual theme. Bill Gates is viewed as a nefarious character, same as with Elon Musk. So generally speaking, people don't fully trust billionaires. So I think there is that initial distrust of when Elon Musk says, "Listen, I want to turn this into a private company, change it up." Now, his reasonings for being able to do so is saying that it's an effort in order to increase the free speech that Twitter allows for, which is in sense the modern day town square where people can speak. And so the specific changes that he says he wants to run on is remove their reliance on ads, bring in an edit button, change content moderation policies, stopping spam bots, and open source algorithms. A whole bunch of different things that he's bringing into play, seemingly to make Twitter better as he sees it.
And that's cool, man. But then again, anytime anybody is in front of the news and they ask, "Hey, you got a whole bunch of power now. What you gonna do?" They say, "Calm down, gentle people of the square. I'm going to do all of these good things." But there's always unforeseen consequences, and there's always intentions that I guess we have to question as the public that's going to be affected by this. I think one of the big ones with Twitter is that like Twitter has a history of having to deal with like harassment issues on the platform, right? Trying to protect user data, trying to eliminate misinformation and disinformation, and just these issues where our collective use of Twitter makes us vulnerable as a society. And from that perspective, it's important who's pulling the puppet strings is aware of all of the ways in which the platform could be used against people and to turn people against each other. And I guess the question is Elon Musk a serious party to be trusted with that type of responsibility over how we interact with each other?
So I'm gonna come real. I'm gonna be honest. I do not fully subscribe to the notion that billionaires are inherently evil. Neither do I subscribe to the notion that they do so through they do those through corrupt measures. I do think that every large organization plays their own role in trying to optimize their profits by shaving off of taxes. I do think that that's something that happens across the board, but I don't necessarily think that that makes somebody have evil intentions, so to speak. Now, some of the things that might worry some people is if they look at how Elon Musk runs some of his other companies, specifically those for minorities and people of color. We've covered Tesla and whatever the case is. So I say this and hear me now, good people of Twitter. And I'm gonna look right in the camera as I say this. If you've ever been called an N-word, if you've ever been lied, if you've ever been treated badly, you write that down. Now is the time to cash out, okay? Now is the time to cash out. You write that down, you hold on to it, and very soon, $100 million might be coming right towards your way.
I like how you keeping the people on point. We know what their priorities should be, because yes, Elon Musk has had to shell out a decent amount of money for racism that's gone down under his watch. And so as he takes over a space where racism is no stranger, it'll be interesting to see, how he handles all of these issues, man. I think to me, it's just really signifies like, and I love how you brought into it the time that we're in where Tesla's had workers organized underneath them to protest this. We're going to talk in a little bit about Disney, who's had workers organized to protest. We've seen Amazon's workers organized to protest. People are very conscious of how companies are being operating, and they're being forced to, at least on the public facing side, present strategies and plans that reflect a greater care for people, the environment, and political issues than ever before. Elon Musk is somebody who's been very dismissive of all of those pressures. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out with him at the helm of the place where those fires get the hottest. You feel me?
Definitely. And so part of the criticism that experts have given on some of the changes that he wants to put in is that although they might seemingly sound good, they might actually be a lot more complex than they seem. One, for instance, is Elon Musk says he wants to be able to remove ads from the Twitter revenue system. So currently, Twitter derives 90% of its profits from ads, from ad revenue, which ties directly into the Twitter algorithm. I think by now we're all no strangers to the fact that our feeds are not carefully curated like we do the content on this show, but a different type of curated content that is specifically designed to be able to market is to be able to market to you and to keep you onto the platform. And so what that has done is it has also allowed for things such as shadow banning to be quite prevalent, things such as muting people, and also just an over focus on getting people to just buy things as opposed to seeing things as they are within the Twitter sphere. So Elon Musk says he wants to be able to break that down, but it turns out it's actually not as easy as he thinks it's going to be.
I think that gets at some of the issue that people have with billionaires, right? Is that the ability to amass a huge amount of wealth through one particular venture gives you a lot of money, which in turn gives you a lot of power, which in turn allows you to manipulate a whole lot of other areas. And you may not have the same amount of expertise. You might not be the right person to be a leader in those areas, but because you got so much money, you know what I'm saying, off the off of this one area, you now can manipulate those other areas. Kanye, all right. If we talk about billionaires, they have the ability to hop out of their lane with incredible consequences to the general public. And I think when we see them simplify areas of commerce that they're taking over that don't represent the places where they've had success, people start to get worried and go, is this man really know what he's talking about?
So that speaks directly towards a comment that we have coming from the comment section. And we still like to remind absolutely everybody that's paying attention, that's watching live, to please do drop a comment in the comment section. This is an open conversation. As always, we're speaking as a community. Question coming in, Mr. Miles Xavier, what about the idea that you can't become a billionaire without the exploitation of people, resources, thus making billionaires evil?
Don't you do that. You know this question is for you. You know that. Go ahead.
Look, it's one of the bigger criticisms that come against this level of wealth creation is the avoidance of taxes. Tax avoidance is a pretty big thing. I think what's dope about what Elon Musk has been doing with his type of Elon Musk is the type of billionaire, dare I say, not without fault, but he's the type of billionaire you want, right? You want somebody whose main company is based on electrical cars, which means green energy. You want somebody who is proactive in being able to, at least seemingly from the offset, being able to open up and be more inclusive in the information sharing systems. His work that he's doing with Tesla is quite with the SpaceX is also rather important, just to be able to advance space travel, things like that. So nobody is perfect, and we're not saying that Elon Musk is perfect, but if you look at the previous years, the type of billionaires that we've had, we're talking about oil power, people that are major invested in fossil fuels or things that are extractive from the world, essentially. So is he the perfect billionaire? No, nobody's perfect, but I would say that he is the type of person to do that. Now, do all billions come from exploitation? No, but I do think that a lot of billions do come from somebody getting a short end of some sort of stick, and somebody getting the top end of that. And that could come through contractual, that could come through system advantage, that could come through a various host of advantages. It's not just the exploitation of people.
I think I would say that it's not just the exploitation of people, but billionaires are a product of a system that incentivizes the exploitation of people in order to reach a financial peak, which is kind of deemed the upper echelon of achievement. And I think reworking that has a lot to do with whether or not people have the ability to amass that kind of wealth. I think billionaires are they're a beacon. They're a symbol of what capitalism can create. And the fact that it's up to how benevolent this one person is, how all of that power gets used, is something that we have to decide if we're okay with that or not. I'm personally for the building of structures that maybe with a specific focus on exploitation, a limit not only exploitation but the incentives towards exploitation. And I think that you can't implement those systems without crippling a lot of what allows people to become billionaires. So if that makes me anti-billionaire, I'm with that. I'm with that. But that doesn't necessarily mean I have a prediction on how Elon Musk takeover of Twitter will go. I think that remains to be seen. But it's crazy to me. The crazy part of all this to me is that Twitter has become a space where Elon can tweet, his stock price goes up, millions of dollars are made, right? The former CEO of Twitter can tweet and influence how current deals are being made, even though he's a board member that stepped down as an executive, right? And what happens when these people that have amassed power for reasons that don't have much to do with public consensus of the public putting them in these positions consciously have free reign over the public square, as we've said before.
So one of the things that looks to target exactly how Twitter is being used, and the main thing that Musk wants to change, interestingly enough, was backed by Jack Dempsey, who is the founder of Twitter. So Jack Dempsey founded Twitter a while back, sold it off for billions of dollars, and that's when a lot of people were taking pieces and pieces of it and let it become into this marketing targeted machine. Jack Dempsey has since then been rather mum on the support for Twitter and things like that. So what we saw is that Jack Dempsey actually ended up supporting Musk, and he says that Musk purchasing Twitter stems from a conversation that he had with Musk when he said, listen, Twitter right now is becoming a lot more toxic. It's silencing a lot of people. It needs to be more open for the greater good, because this is where most of human interaction, human communication happened, to which Musk was empowered and then motivated to purchase that he would make it the source. He wants to make the Twitter open source, the algorithm open source. Now, what that means is that instead of the algorithm now being specifically targeted to give you marketing related stuff, things that can keep you on from a marketing perspective, it will now just be it will be transparent for you to be able to see what's coming towards you, and then also being able to allow that your recommendations not to be based on what's best to sell to you, but more so on your personal preferences of content, and also what is actually relevant and not relevant in the town square at the moment. But that's difficult.
Yeah, that's mad hard. But I think that's dope. I think that represents a cool idea. I think that represents an idea where social media platforms aren't tilted toward the worst parts of our nature. But I don't know whether I think whenever whenever you make a change this significant to something that affects this many people, there are always unforeseen consequences. And I guess what remains to be seen is how we will all deal from those consequences and the choices that we'll make. What I'm worried about is the fact that this man is automating cars, building robots that look and walk like people, and now controls where people put all their thoughts. If those three things aren't a combination for an iRobot type scenario, then I bet y'all don't run to me when the light turns red and now we the targets. All right.
I don't think Elon Musk. I don't think Elon Musk is particularly making robots that are walking look like people. That might be somebody else.
They're not. Tesla is releasing automated humanoid robots in the next 2 years. Check that out.
You know where those robots could potentially find employment?
I think I know.
Come on.